Oh, you're still here on the morning show. It's the AM show. My name is Gifty Andopia, sitting in for Mamavi Owusu Abuaje, and we're going to have our AM talk at this point. But let me quickly tell you what we're after here. We're looking at 100 days of the NPP. Joy News' big conversation on the first 100 days of the Akufo-Addo administration on Monday, April 17, 2017. The Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will be our special guest in a live town hall event as we look at the progress made and the challenges faced in delivering campaign promises. You pick a free ticket today at the front desk of Joy FM. 100 Days of Change, Time with the Vice on TV, radio, online and mobile, supported by Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. I've got in the studio a Member of Parliament for Busa Busa South, Clement Park. Thank you for coming. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Also here is regular Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Fogon, and he's in the person of Mr. Ejako. Why do I always... Mr. Ejako, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And many thanks for your time. So today we'll be looking at, the major issues in the newspapers. Yesterday, NDC held its press conference. Lots of issues came up at the press conference, of course. We know what's happening at Agbogboleshi is very disturbing. And of course, we know about the Galamsey fights that we're embarking on. Let's start with the NDC. Yesterday's press conference. Were you there yourself? I didn't see you.
No, I wasn't. But of course, I monitored it on radio. But of course, let me say good morning to yourself and my colleague, and to greet my constituents in Bulsa South, in Fumbisi, and other parts of Bulsa South. They watch a lot, and so Bulsa Mena my Pusini Solu at Tenejia.
Okay. What's that?
Well, I'm saying good morning to them
okay.
and thanking them.
Okay.
It's always important that one projects your background, and particularly now that we know that the mother tongue has a role to play in the formative years of every child, that we reinstate the pride in our mother tongue. So I like to greet my people in their local language at every opportunity.
Okay.
But now let's go to the press conference held by my party, the NDC, yesterday at the party's head office. It was obvious that the time had come for us as a responsible opposition party to draw the attention of Ghanaians to matters of concern, which we believe border on the social, political, and economic well-being, as well as cohesion of our country. We have always said from the onset that we want to be a constructive opposition. What that means is that if and when we see the need to bring certain matters to public attention and to draw the attention of government to them as part of our effort to ensure the continuous peace, unity, and stability of our country, we will do so. And I think yesterday's press conference was within that context.
So you touched on... The press conference actually highlighted about 4 key issues. You talk about the lawlessness, and that's linked to the invincible forces, the Delta forces, etc. And then you talk about politicization of public service, for which your party says you're going to go to court.
That's right.
And then you talk about bastardization of the decentralization system, which is also linked to the politicization of public services. And then you speak about the Obolo government.
That's right.
So which of them?
So let me touch on the lawlessness.
Okay.
First, largely because we all know that having a peaceful, secured society is the prerequisite for development. I mean, without peace, when the citizens don't feel secured, they are not able to, explore their God-given potential. In spite of the natural resources that the good Lord may have endowed us with. I mean, we can look at several examples across the country. The reason why it was important to highlight this is because we believe that it had been allowed to fester and had reached a crescendo whereupon even the president's own appointee was a victim of an act of lawlessness. I mean, we all remember that from the onset, we jointly celebrated the fact that we had a free, fair, and transparent election, that the Transition Act had duly been implemented in terms of the reasoning behind why it was crafted, which allowed for a peaceful transition of power from one government formed by the then, ruling party to the current opposition, current government, which was then in opposition. So the assumption was that we had gone past, if you like, for better of a better scenario, some of the occurrences that we had experienced in previous transitions from one government, one party to the next. But what did we see? Then soon after that, we heard of elements who were obvious sympathizers and activists of the current government attacking and taking over public institutions. We heard of the invasion of the passport office and the takeover. We heard that they had gone to Tema Harbor and taken over certain shipyards there. We heard of the toll booth situations. And we had expected that the MPP and the Nanado-led government would have had the courage to rein them in. But it didn't happen. But
if you say it didn't happen, because the president has spoken about it, he went to.
But that is not sufficient. But the point I wanted to even make was that what really caused a lot of us to be alarmed was the fact that a serving police officer, DSP Nanka Bruce, was assaulted at the seat of government, Flagstaff House. And soon after that, we also heard of this faceless asset recovery task force going around harassing
was it
several.
Faceless? Was it necessarily faceless? Because
do you know the
chief
composition?
of staff, the chief of staff. I mean, there was a release, and,
No.
and they laid it out clearly. It involved the police, all security agencies, the BNI, national security. It involved the DVLA. So we know.
Well, first of all, that statement came after we had complained that the regional youth organizer, of the MPP from the Brong Ahafo region, came to Accra, had the capacity to commandeer police and military personnel to go about harassing citizens, former government officials, and our party officials. It was after we had complained. In fact, I challenged government to reveal the identity of the membership of that so-called asset recovery task force. It was within that context that government, through the chief of staff, then issued the statement. But even so, can you tell me on authority that you know the composition, and that if anyone was to come to your home, as they did to several of my colleagues, including the former deputy minister for local government, to knock at your door and show you a badge that they are from the CID and they were a part of the asset recovery task force, what would be your basis to verify the authenticity of that person? So this was one of the other issues. Then, of course, we then had what had gone on in Northern Region, for example. The Kandahar boys who had gone to SADA offices, assaulted people, taken property, shut offices. They went to the NHIA office. They went to the youth employment. We thought that was all. Then we heard that it had happened as well in the Eastern region, in the Upper West region. So it was obvious that elements sympathetic to the MPP had decided to take the law into their own hands, and they were doing so because of the tacit and sometimes overt support of government officials and sometimes high-ranking party officials. But everything came to a head after the president had addressed the nation and assured us that he was not going to condone acts of lawlessness. Had then gone to the Ashanti region in Taratin the Otunfuo, reassured Ghanaians through Otunfuo, and yet what did we see? His own appointee, a regional national security coordinator, was assaulted and literally smoked out
of office.
Okay, so since your party did that press conference and put out the issues there, let me bring in the party that you are accusing into the discussion. Mr. Jacko, he's provided a logical list of things that he believes that the NDC, and they do make sense, that makes the NPP a lawless government. What do you say to that?
Funny. Well, but good morning to you and to my constituents, Dr. Clement Park. I have tremendous respect for him, I must say, and to viewers, and most especially to my constituents, good people of Ayawaso West Ogon, who have kindly placed me in the National Assembly as their representative. I am always grateful to them. I hear the NDC had a press conference yesterday.
Yes.
And from what you're saying, they had 4 thematic areas.
Mm.
You see, I never cease to get amazed that the party doesn't seem to clearly understand what has happened to them.
Is it about them, or is it about the country and the way it is being governed?
I'll come to this.
Okay.
I think that they are still in a daze about their electoral laws. So, as a party that was in government for 8 years and has transitioned into opposition, I expected that their narrative will change a little. You know, but it is still the very on their high horse, speaking about not what they are, but what the Ghanaian should be. It is surprising. They say that they talk about violence, mm-hmm. and they talk about politicization of the public service.
Right.
Okay. And what was the other one?
Let's deal with the violence.
No.
We're having the violence. I'm not done yet.
Okay, the politicization of public service and over bloated government.
I will condemn violence. We must make a clear distinction between criminality and political violence. Okay. If people perpetrate criminal acts, it must be seen as that. Mm. Unfortunately, in this country, over a long period, probably you can throw it back to the period when people were told that we no go sit down, make them cheat us every day. When people were emboldened to say that management was nothing. When people were told that disrespect management.
Is that an attempt to
from that period, we have had consequences. It was a seed that was sown then. We sowed to the wind. Today, we are reaping a whirlwind.
That sounds like an attempt to justify.
I am not justifying. I think that I premise by saying that I condemn any form of violence.
Okay.
And it must be treated by the security agencies with dispatch. They must tackle it without fear or favor. It is a necessity. You see, because otherwise little drops of water will soon gather and become a mighty ocean and will overwhelm all of us.
So in that case, the NDC's point is that these things are happening under the NPP's regime, and that these are people who claim to be polices of the rule of law, but at the end of the day, we're seeing all of these things happening right under your governance and under your nose.
That is why I want to state that I am not doing equalization here. Mm. I am saying that we have sown a certain seed, and all of us are beginning to reap the whirlwind. What I don't like about the attitude, that is why I say that these guys must change their narrative. What didn't happen what hasn't happened under their watch? What hasn't happened? But you see, it is something that has happened over a period And it is not stopping.
Now they're calling you. They're calling on your government to bring these people to order.
And I want to say that His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has stated unequivocally that this is something. Look, this man, in his 40 years in public service, has always been on the side of the rule of law. Whether it was a fight against Unigov or whatever, he has always been on the side of the law. Relentless advocate of the rights of the Ghanaians.
It doesn't change the fact that we're seeing lawlessness under the administration.
You see?
That's why they're saying that the NDC is saying that there are key people within the NPP party that are supporting these lawless groups, and that is what gives them the audacity to do the kind of things that they do. So how can the NPP stop this?
As for people taking positions, you cannot stop people from taking positions.
But it has to be done in a responsible way.
No. As for people taking positions, people saying things, people will always say things. In the previous government, in the government before, Kufuor's government, in Lawlessness government, didn't people take those positions? I am saying that we have created a problem. There is a certain thing that is happening in this country. We must stop it. I want to say that I am firmly in my belief that an Akufo-Addo government, knowing the character of the man, knowing his history, will deal with the problem that has been going on in this country in the last 24 years or so. I concede that there are problems. I concede that there are difficulties. You see, but I want to twine it with this thing about politicization of
the public service.
Public service. I mean, we should stop this hypocrisy. Which government did not change the public service? Which government did not change the actors in the public service?
Yes, they're saying that the NPP has gone the extra mile to do things that violate to do things that violate the Constitution, like putting Nato Shiado at head of the.
Wasn't Mr. Nicole the district?
But Mr.
Respectfully, wasn't Mr. Nicole there? When they came, didn't they change Mr. Nicole for Mr. Finn?
They said they worked with Mr. Nicole until after his term.
I said, haven't we worked for Mr. Finn?
Until after his term, his constitutionally mandated term. It was after his term.
But who says that Mr. Finn's mandated term is not there? I mean, they even went on to talk about the governor of the bank. When the man himself says that no pressure was put on him, are you more Catholic than the Pope?
But they said, come on, they said, I mean, this is politics. The person doesn't necessarily have to come out and say, I'm being forced out. But in the game, that's how it goes.
Did he come to say that did he come to say somebody put a gun to his head?
The local government service, for instance, you change the head.
What does the law say?
Dr. Callistus Mahama.
What does the law say? Does the law say you can't change?
But he has a fixed tenure. He has a fixed tenure, but the NPP has disregarded that. That's what the NDC is saying. And brought Dr. Atuata onto the public service, the local government service.
High-profile card-bearing member of the NPP.
But is Dr. Callistus, as for Dr. Callistus Mahama, he is not a card-bearing member of any party.
But he has tenure, so you should allow him.
The tenure to end. Mr. Jaku, I mean, we have to look at, if we're looking at this from the Constitution, perspective of the Constitution, it is wrong.
Saying that I will say, what is wrong?
It is wrong that someone's fixed tenure, someone has a fixed tenure, the tenure hasn't ended, you remove him and put another person there. Even if the person is more qualified than the person who is there currently, it is still wrong. It violates the Constitution.
If anybody thinks that there has been a constitutional breach, it is well within the competence of the person to go to court.
Well, that's why they say they're going to court.
Saying. They can go to court, yes. Nothing stops you from going to court.
But it doesn't mean we shouldn't highlight it.
Oh, go ahead and highlight it.
Which is what we have done.
You guys, when you came,
to signal the action that we are going to undertake.
Look, Mr. Taku, which organizations did the NDC change heads?
Every single one of them.
Whose tenure did not end?
We never changed. He was there. when we took over, these chief executives were maintained in excess of 3 months.
It was a choice you made.
It wasn't the choice we made. It was the right thing to do. To allow for the system to be able to function as optimum.
Which is in line with what the Constitution says.
What does the Constitution say about DCs?
The Constitution gives them security.
What does the Constitution say about DCs?
The Constitution gives these people.
Let us bring the Constitution. What does the Constitution say about DCs?
The people that you've appointed to head the local government service,
the district assemblies,
hold on, sir. The district assemblies common fund, the local government service. You put people who are, I mean, clearly politicians are in a position where the people who were there did not finish their tenure. That is obviously a breach of the Constitution.
What is your problem? Are you saying that we have put politicians or we have breached? You
have breached the Constitution by putting people, removing people whose fixed tenure hadn't ended.
Oh.
Is that correct? Is this wrong?
I don't believe that we have done anything like this.
When we go to court.
Well, let the court decide on the matter. But you see, let me also correct you. That you say that we have brought people who are political. So, the people who are there, are they not political?
No, it indicates motive. It's obvious.
That is not the big issue. The big issue is that the Constitution has been breached, really.
Very well. I mean, if anybody thinks that the Constitution has been breached, Ghana is a democratic country.
They're going to court.
It is okay.
Okay.
So,
it is okay.
Well, I think that we would agree.
Is it a mere rhetoric, Mr. Park? Is it a mere, Dr. Park? Is it a mere rhetoric that you're going to court? Because yesterday I tried to speak to some of your people to find out when you intend to go to court, and they tell me that, well, we have to sit down and have a conversation. Is it a decision you're already taken, or this is something that you're throwing out there, perhaps testing the waters?
Well, I would say that it's a very serious issue. I mean, you saw the mood of our party leadership at the press conference. These certainly were not people who looked like they were just throwing things about. There's been a lot of discussion and conversation around what has been going on, and we simply feel that the time has come for us to play our role in a lot more overt manner as a responsible opposition. Okay. Remember that Ghana is the object of interest. So whatever we are going to do to ensure that things are done properly in a way that is fair, equitable, for the forward march of this country. That is what we are going to do. But I must go back to the issue of security and finish on that note, because it is the most important factor.
Okay, wrap up
in all of this. I have argued elsewhere that if the president had acted, if he had made a public pronouncement much early on, this embarrassment that we witnessed would not have happened. Because for the president to have assured the nation before the People's Assembly, to have assured the nation through 2-4, and for what happened to happen, culminating in a group organizing to invade a court and release persons who were standing trial.
The people said they escaped.
It was certainly the lowest.
They escaped, I mean, in the midst of the chaos, and they got the chance to escape.
And you truly believe this narrative isn't obvious if you look at the trend of events when party leaders, members of parliament had publicly even challenged the president, their own minister for national security, to dare touch them. Nobody can jail them. And this happens, and you think that this was accidental? It's either the president doesn't have control over what is going on, or he chooses to ignore what is going on.
Mr. Jacko, does the president have control, would you say?
I think the president has full control over the matter.
So why is it that he's still speaking?
Mr.
Jacko, he's still speaking. But the things are still, the president is speaking. The president has said, we don't condone, we can't condone these things, but it's still going on. The moment, in fact, when he went to the Otufo, just after he spoke, we saw what happened.
No, but you see, the president can make a statement and say that I will not condone this. But does it take anything away from somebody who wants to perpetrate criminality?
By his commander-in-chief.
So he should set out the forces.
He has the Minister for National Security.
No. He's commander-in-chief, so he should set out the forces.
Advisor.
Yes.
Minister for Defense.
Yes.
Minister for Interior.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
So
and there's a National Security Council.
Fantastic.
Yes. So
if a group
yes,
can defy the president, in broad daylight.
Blatantly.
I mean, brazenly, assaulting the rule of law. A president
Dr. Clement Apart.
Mr. Let him make his point.
An astute lawyer,
Dr. Clement
of good
Apart.
standing for several years.
Dr. Clement
A
Apart.
former attorney general. He makes a pronouncement on a matter, assures the nation, assures the king, and then it happens.
That for you is a clear sign of someone who has lost control.
Well, clearly, I have said elsewhere that it is a slap in the face of the president. I mean,
Mr. Jacko
how
does
else
not
do you
agree.
explain this?
Mr. Jacko does not agree at all.
Dr. Clement Apart, may I ask you?
Please do.
Sometimes in our own houses and you will instruct your children that you don't do this. I will not permit this.
But if your child did the first one and you did not crack the whip, the next time
Who
he knows
says
that daddy,
you didn't crack the
you
whip?
know that daddy will forgive.
Who says you didn't crack
Or
the
if
whip?
daddy
when
forgives-
when the guys went and manhandled the regional security coordinator, did we put our hands between our thighs?
But when mommy goes back and talks to them behind
Respectfully,
closed doors,
when the members of the Delta forces went and manhandled the national security coordinator, did we put our hands between our thighs? 13 people were arrested and put before a court. I think it is wrong for anybody to say that nobody cracked the whip. Subsequently, something happened. And in what happened, have we also folded our arms? No, we haven't. So, Dr. Apak, are you telling me that you tell your child not to go and play football and you probably will beat him and he goes back to play football? It means that you are a father who has lost control.
But
no.
So you give him
I am saying that you cannot always determine the acts and the actions of people.
But honorable, let's face it, we all agree this is condemnable.
It is
shouldn't
condemnable.
happen again.
It should not. It shouldn't even happen at all.
Pronouncements
But the
of some
reality-
of our colleagues, the pronouncements of Honorable Kennedy Japan.
Mention his name. If he's not doing something right. Yes.
has anybody in the NDC, NPP spoken to Kennedy Japan?
But why not?
And what was the response?
His conduct and his pronouncements on this matter.
The three people
Quite
have
clearly.
a saying that it is because as a it is because of bad. That is why everybody has a name. So that you will not. I think this generic branding of things is wrong. If an honorable member of parliament is doing something that is wrong, let us say that what this honorable member is doing is wrong. After all, even in our own houses and in our own circumstances, don't we find things like this happen? Why are we pretending? And who doesn't know Kennedy Japan? And who doesn't know his traits?
Know him? Oh, okay.
But are those acceptable?
If it is
are
not
you
acceptable,
condoning that
No, who
by
is
not
condoning
publicly
it?
chastising him?
who is
Your
condoning
party
it?
has refused time and time again to speak out against
Against
his reckless,
his
It is
comments.
not true.
reckless.
I refuse.
But
I
has
refuse
the,
diplomatic
but has
comments.
the party come out? Has the party come out too?
Not formally.
Haven't you heard?
No.
Well, if you haven't
You
heard,
hear individuals. You hear individuals speaking against him, but you not.
Proof
but
is
not
that you are
really.
all afraid of him.
who is afraid of who?
I mean, the man
The
makes
party-
outlandish, reckless, nation-wrecking statements,
Anything
and
that
all
the
you have to
party
do is
is
to
quiet.
go
I
him
don't
along, you know.
accept
There
this.
hasn't been any official statement, for instance, from the party to say
I-
we dissociate ourselves, for instance, from the comments that Mr.
But
Japan
that
has
is
made.
him.
So, but he's
but-
doing that, and he's attached to the party. If the party is concerned about its reputation, these are some of the things that he has to look at.
I think that you'll be expecting, you'll be. I think that we are overblowing this matter.
Really,
I think so. I really and truly.
Mr. Park, were you okay?
He's a gentleman called Kennedy Japan. He speaks things that are very wrong sometimes, extremely wrong sometimes.
Which is why we're looking at national security, and he must be.
And I think that if he has breached, I believe that if he has breached anything that will compromise our national security, has he? If he has, why not?
The
It's
problem
about
is that
morality,
this man
isn't it?
has even come out to question
The
the
powers
national
of the national
minister.
security.
I mean, it is serious. He has even dared him on several platforms.
Yes.
So how do
I
you...
disagree with him.
Mr. Park, wrap up on your comments on the
Very well.
on,
So
the,
what
on,
we,
on
I mean,
lawlessness,
at the end
etc.
of the day, what we are asking of government and of the president is for him to make sure that he upholds the Constitution that he dispenses his responsibility to us as a people. We need to continue enjoying peace as a basis for us to develop. His responsibility is no longer just to his party, but to all of us. And if anybody infringes on the rights of other citizens, regardless of what their role may be, either financiers or sponsors of illegitimate groups, we expect the president to let the law work to the fullest extent. And the processes should be initiated to put an end to these rather regular acts of lawlessness that we have witnessed since the 7th of
yesterday your party.
I think I have a...
yes, I wanted him to wrap up. Okay, if you do, you could just go on with that.
Let me state without equivocation that an act which is condemnable cannot be anything else but must be condemned. I think that some of the actions of the Delta forces is completely not acceptable.
You see, Honorable, he's choosing his words. He says some of the actions.
Some of the actions, yeah, but it is not every action.
Is Delta Force a recognized group of the NPP?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of.
Yeah, just like Azoka. Maybe you should ask. Is Azoka Boys a branch of the NDC?
I see.
You see, this is what I don't like. There are things that are happening in our body politic. It is wrong. You guys have Azoka Boys. What haven't they done?
We don't have Azoka Boys.
These are challenges.
What's happened to
his
Azoka
voice
Boys?
Before he even became the chairman of our party in the
Okay.
Northern region.
Okay,
but who says that somebody didn't have...
So, Mr. Jaco, wrap up at your
office
point.
At our NDC head office. Do you know that the invisible forces have an office?
Who says?
At the NPP head office.
Who says? When did you go there?
Do you know that
did you go there?
every
Can you
region, they
point
have
out-
a specific group?
But Mr. Jaco, we've seen the invincible forces. We've seen their T-shirts at your party meetings, etc.
Severally.
At your rallies.
Haven't you seen the T-shirts of Azoka Boys?
No. So you can't.
I am saying that
dissociate the NPP from the invincible forces.
There is this vigilantism which is creeping in our body politic, which is wrong. What I detest is that me and you, we are both eating palm nut soup. Both of us are dressed is colored with palm, and you are turning around and telling me that as for you, your
Shouldn't we rather come to a national consensus where we want to deal with this and deal with it decisively?
I am making that we are threatened by this as a nation.
I agree.
All of us as a nation, we are threatened by this.
So does it bother you that the National Security Minister goes to Parliament and says that we don't know of any, there are no registered vigilante
groups? Is
groups?
it true or it's not true?
Is it not a bother?
True or it's not true?
Is it not a seeming?
If you go to the Register General's Department, will you find?
Is it not a seeming legitimization of their presence?
Nobody is legitimizing it. He is speaking to the fact. In fact, indeed, and in truth, that is, if you go to the Register General's Department, you will not find anything called Delta forces.
Mr. Jaco, let's look at the moral of the issue.
And this is the danger.
But hold on, Mr. Jaco, let's look at the moral of the issue. You go to Parliament, and this is a platform, a national platform, and these are there are Delta forces who are engaging in acts of lawlessness. You go to Parliament, and you are expected to make a statement on this matter. Is that the time to go to look at the legality of their existence, or is it a time to begin to, really condemn them?
Did you see? You respond in Parliament. It's a house of record. You respond according to what you are asked.
Question.
Okay.
It is based on what he was asked. He responded. But nobody is saying that creeping vigilantism. that is almost becoming a problem for us. Must not be tackled.
Okay.
What I don't like is that this finger pointing. It is a problem that exists in this country.
Okay.
We must tackle it.
Okay.
It is coming to a head, and we must all support His Excellency the President to tackle it firmly without fear or favor.
Okay.
We must tackle it without fear or favor. But I've argued that given the gravity of what we have witnessed and the implications going forward, it would have been, in my opinion, very useful for the president to have addressed the nation.
His opinion.
to have addressed the nation
It is Clement Apak's
on
opinion.
this
On this
specific issue.
Okay, well,
to reassure us of our security.
it's still not too late. I think the president can and will.
Can I just add? You see, no, it's a very
We
important.
have to move on.
No,
We have to move on to the next
It is
issue.
important. Look, I am sorry to be talking about this, but look at Agbobuchi.
Agbobuchi is what we want to talk about.
There is a problem there. How many times didn't it occur when NDC was in power? It is recurring.
And it appears that it will keep.
We must find a way to cure it.
How do we cure it?
It is not in my place to begin to talk about it.
A member of parliament for the constituency, Ododo Vigilante Van der Poel has said that if we have leaders from both the MPP and the NDC, you have someone like the minority leader, like President,
very well,
but like President Mahama, you put all of these people together. Yes, you go to Agbobuchi and speak to them. They listen. He said that these people are people who he's engaged with them.